April the 1st, 1998, at Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The survivor is Max Mishna. Interview of Val 11. Don't need it. I've got everything.
We just talked about that.
Let me. Would you give me your current name?
Max Mishna.
Would you spell that for me, please?
M-A-X-M-I-S-H-N-A.
And what was your name at birth? And if you'd spell that too, please.
Mordechai Mishna. That's in Hebrew.
Spell it, please.
Mem Shin Nin A. Mordechai M-I, no. In Hebrew?
No, in English.
In English. Oh, no. M-O-R-D-H-I-A-I, yeah.
And your birth date?
1921, July the 3rd, 1921.
And how old are you now?
76, closing on 77.
And the city you were born?
Ostrov Mazovetsk.
Would you spell that for us, please?
O-S-T-R-O-W-M-A-Z-O-W-I-E-C-K.
In what country?
Poland.
And in what city did you grow up?
In the same city.
Could you give us any feeling of the Jewish community in which you grew up? The size of the Jews as compared to the non-Jews?
It was a city of 20,000 people, population 20,000. The Jews were approximately about 6,000, between 6,000 and 7,000.
And what was the economic activity in the town?
It was industry.
What kind of industry?
It was like sawmills, 2 sawmills, a brewery, and flour mills, and big business like manufacturing, selling clothing, and all wholesale business in the center of the city.
Okay, and what religious institutions were there? Synagogues?
Synagogues.
How many
and Hasidic places.
How many synagogues?
Synagogue was 2 main synagogues. You call the old synagogue and the new one. That was the name. And the rest was private places, like Linas Tzedek, Sharet Zion. And it was, I can't count this, you call them shtibels in Jewish, for the Hasidim. There were maybe 10, 15.
How about organizations? Jewish organizations?
You mean secular?
Yes.
Secular was Zionist,
Yeah.
socialist, like Bundist, official, and there were difference. The Zionist was Mizrahi, more religious, and there was working parties, and there were communists. No, communists were illegal in Poland before the war. There were all kinds of people, especially Jews, who were thinking about parties. We're going to give them more freedom, more existence. Everybody promised something, people jumped on it because they didn't have nothing to lose.
So did all the Jews live, how did all the Jews live? Was it in one place?
Yeah, more or less. It wasn't official like a ghetto on the Germans. No, it was segregated more or less because the center of the city was the business for Jews, and mostly Christians live out of the city because there were a little bit agriculture, they had something to do with agriculture, you know. They lived outside. And when you come in the center of the city, you think this is a Jewish city. On Sabbath was everything closed, you know. Okay. You could feel it.
Now, who were the members of your family, your immediate family?
My mother, my sister, my father was absent in Oslo Mazowiecki. He was never, as I remember, he was never in Oslo Mazowiecki because he emigrated. He emigrated to Palestine and emigrated to Mexico.
In what year was that?
Pardon?
In what year?
What year? They emigrated to Palestine in 1920. He himself, before I was born. And then we emigrated to Palestine, and we returned without my father, because my father went to Mexico, and we returned back to Poland. My sister was born then, and that's all I know about my father till I came to Canada in 1949. I was the age of 28, and he was 56.
And what was your mother's name?
Sarah.
And her family name before she was married?
Drevno.
Could you spell that?
Drewno.
And your sister?
Hannah Mishna.
Give me an idea of the house you lived in and how you lived.
The house we lived in from the start, I can vaguely remember. It was more like a dream. The only thing I can remember when I was living with my grandfather, and he was a sheet metal worker, and he had a little business, and I lived with him, and I was going in a cheder. It was a Jewish religious school with a rabbi not very much educated except in religion, no education at all. And that's when I came for 7 years, and my mother came and said, I want to go in a modern school like Tarbuz, a Hebrew school, and they learn everything like a modern school. And he said, no way you can live with me. And then I went with my mother, and I went to live in a small house, in a small room with my sister.
Just one room with the three of you?
Yeah. And then we moved a few places, but then we lived comfortable because my father sent once a big sum of money, and instead to use it, we gave it to the owner, the money, and we didn't have to pay rent. For the interest of the money, we used to call it in Poland zastav. And we never paid, well, it wasn't for a long time. It was maybe 2 years, and then the war broke out, and the money was gone. It was American dollars. I presume it was $500. It was big money in Poland.
So did your mother work at all to
Oh yeah,
keep you? What did she do?
She worked in a brewery. They're producing beer.
And what was she doing there?
She was doing all kind of jobs there. She was a machine cleaning the bottles, and then filling in them. And she was fortunate because lots of people were envying you because she had a steady job.
Did she belong to any organizations herself?
No.
And what organizations would you have belonged to as a young?
I belonged to Shoah,
Which is?
It was official scout organization. Official. And it belonged to the leftist Zionist groups, It was a scout just for young people. And the idea of them was to go to Akshara, to learn agriculture in Poland, to learn how to work physical work, and then go to Israel in kibbutzim. And that's the people where they build up Israel, in kibbutzim.
What language did you speak at home?
I'm Jewish.
And outside your home?
Outside, mostly Jewish. The only thing in school, we had to speak Hebrew. And we learned Hebrew. Polish we learned much, 1 hour a day. And then 1 hour a week, Polish history. And the rest all was Hebrew. Now we got caught between 3 languages. It wasn't easy. Even Hebrew is not easy for me to talk now, because I didn't use it for 58 years.
How would you describe the relationships between the Jews and the non-Jews in your town?
Was from the start, but then the war, before the war, was already tension. because you know, just like normally when people are suffering, and they just blame all the minorities. And in fact, it was like center of the city was all Jews were in business. Jews were in business, and it was mostly belonged to Jews. And Jews didn't have no much right, like in Canada, to go and finish a high school or go to universities and get a job, like a professional or something. You could find in the back streets, except the merchants, you would find hundreds of poor people. Even they were learning, they finished like tailors or cobblers, you know. They were very poor because there were so many of them. It's just the opposite, like in Canada. In Canada, you can find a lawyer, a doctor, and you can find a shoemaker. There was the opposite. And lots of people didn't have a trade at all. Just like Luftmenschen, they say it was a expression, Luftmenschen. This means Luft is the air. This means people living from there. They didn't know what the income is going to be today or tomorrow.
So was there any anti-Semitism? Did you have feel any experience of anti-Semitism?
I didn't have experience, but I went in a separate Jewish school, but there was little incidents, you know, because we didn't feel it much because we lived in compact, you know. We had to have a reason. Like they used to go, Polish people used to go to the Vistula, the big river and it used to be in the 1920s was the battle between the Russians and the Poles. And the Russians were defeated that time and they ran away. And they call it a miracle of the Vistula. And when these Polish nationalists went this day to our city, it doesn't mean exactly the Poles who lived with us. They just made a little program. They didn't kill people, or they just broke windows and just little nonsense, you know. The police were watching them, they didn't disturb them, as long as they don't touch people, you know. And the next day, some tradesmen, but they used to fix the glasses, the windows, even Jewish, they were happy. They said they got lots of work next day.
So you didn't see anyone who was really beaten or?
No, not in our town. It was in Poland was enough. I can remember the names. It was Pshitik and Minsk Mazowiecki.
So your grandfather, you talked about your grandfather being religious.
Yeah.
Did your mother have the same feelings too about religion?
Yeah, my grandfather wasn't my mother's father. Okay. It was my father's. She didn't have no. They are traditional, but otherwise it was not. There was, in Poland before the war, the youth started to look for something because the religion was backwards, it didn't give us nothing, it didn't have no existence, mostly Jews, especially the youth. They started looking for something. They looked for Zionism, for socialism, for communism. Like in the Jewish history, they look for a Mashiach, a Messiah.
So did your mother light candles, for instance, on Friday night?
Yeah, she likes candles. Yeah.
Bake the challah and...
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of literature did you have in your house?
What kind?
Literature, any books, papers?
Not very much, not very much. The only thing literature, if I want, it was a Jewish library, which was very famous. Even the Poles used to come and pick up books. We had Hebrew and Jewish books, and we had the facilities, a reading room, go in and read all the journals and papers for nothing, because mostly Jews in Poland didn't even prescribe papers, you know. And if they prescribed, lots of them just used to, in partnership, you know. One used to finish the paper boy used to come in, picking up, taking the other one. And radios was very seldom too. Because when the war broke out, somebody had a radio, he opened his window, and all the people could come and hear what's going on. Or
what do you remember about September the 1st, 1939?
September the 1st was already, I can tell you, it didn't came like a new start, because we expect already. There was Hitler was asking for something from Poland, last thing, but he couldn't afford to do it, and there were skirmishes on the border, We knew everything about that. And when they came out, there was no news to us. Now, the only news was to us when they came in so easy. I was in a town south of the East Prussian border, about 80 kilometers, and they came in a few days. And we weren't used to it because in the First World War, when I read about it, it took months and months and sometimes years to move in 80 kilometers. And they came in, was right away, they start persecuting the Jews and the Poles. In fact, they organized a meeting, they called all the Jews out to the high school. It was a high school out of the city. And they called them out, and I wasn't there because I lived a little bit far from the city, and I didn't know even. And suddenly they told them, the Germans are here, and you should be listening, you should be good citizens. And suddenly they said, you can go home. And it was after 6 o'clock. And by 6 o'clock was already a curfew. And soldiers were there. I don't know if they didn't know or they simply told them to do it, and they shoot lots of people. Lots of people, they couldn't come home even if they hide it in some other places or in the neighborhood because they were shooting left and right. I think it was killed there about 30 people at that time. We weren't used to that, you know.
What were you doing at that time that you heard the news?
What do you mean?
You were 15 at that.
No, I was 18. At 39, I was 18.
18.
Yeah.
So, what were you doing then at the age of 18?
I was apprenticing at a printer shop. I was learning on a printer. And that's all we couldn't do. We didn't do nothing except in a few days we started, the Germans are coming, and there was panic in the city, and people started running away to the east. We didn't know about the agreement, the secret agreement between Germany and Russia about splitting Poland in half. We didn't know nothing about it. It just came out the 17th of September. No people were running, and some people were running because the government was telling him to run away to the east. They figured in the east they can stop him.
So what did your mother suggest you do at that stage?
We didn't have time to do. We didn't run. We didn't run because some people like at the wagons or trucks, you know, it wasn't much mechanicals. It was not lots of trucks in Poland. No, there ran away that. No, it wasn't time even to think. By the time you thought it over, the war here, it was a blitzkrieg, you know, a lightning war. And they came in so fast, he didn't have much time. Some people ran away to Bialystok, and the Russian came in the 17th of September, and they were free. And some people lived in the Germans. Oh, but we didn't suffer too much because once settled the border, and the border was 3 kilometers from our place, all the city decided to go out, even the rich and the poor. So some older people, fanatics, you know, in old age, you figure what's going to happen, I'm not going to move, travel. And in about October, they shoot all the people in the city. They shot all the people. And even was not from our city, because my city was left just a few for all the people. No, lots of people from deeper Poland, after tried to go to the other side of the border, to the Russians. And the border was in our place. And they came in so far, and farther they couldn't go. And they were sitting and waiting for a chance for illegal to go through, or the contraband people, you know, to go through the border. And they got caught in there, and they got killed, about 700 people. It was just news to us, and because after people got used to that, but this time we didn't get used to that. It was a shock to us. They're killing people, innocent people, women and children.
How did you feel? Did you?
I was already on the other side.
So you'd moved out to?
Yeah, because we left in September right away. When when they decided the border is going to be on the other side, we left. We figured the Russians going to come in our city and we would stay.
So when you were forced to leave, what did you take with you?
Just most of the people in our town, they give away to the Poles. There were lots of farmers, little farmers around the city. We used to go and give them away the furniture. And just for the furniture, take my few things, you know, like what you could call the all for sleeping, you know, sleeping bags.
Yeah. Linen.
A little bit food and all the small things. We packed in a wagon, we went to. Oh, but this luxury, not by the edit, because people from far away, they could hardly come themselves, or walking on a train, and then go to the border. Now we were lucky, we lived close to the city. And luckily, they didn't touch it. The Germans were staying in a post, and they didn't ask nothing, we went through.
So you just went with your wagon?
Yeah.
And can you remember who was walking with you?
I went there just with my uncle. The rest of the family went before that.
So which uncle, your paternal or maternal uncle?
My maternal, yeah.
And okay, now describe to me what happened after that. Where did you go when you left
Yeah,
the city?
we came over the border. There was just villages. The only closest town, it was 32 kilometers, a place called Zambrov. It was on the way to Bialystok.
Yeah. Can you spell it for me?
Zambrov, Z-A-M-B-R-O-W, Zambrov. And there we have little relations, far relations. And they let us in. We were just a small part of the family, not all the family, just part of the family. And we were sitting there, and we see no purpose in sitting there. Then I went myself to Bialystok, and I find out that you can register to go to Deep Russia, especially in the Urals. It's on the border between Europe and Asia. There was a town, a city called Magnitogorsk, a Russian name, because they find lots of metal there, and they build up one of the biggest metal centers in the world, you know, playing a big part in the war. And we came in there in Christmas '39.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed till May. My mother stayed a few more months because people start complaining that the climate is not good and the food, and that they're used to that. They figure in Belarus back by the former Poland, the people living their more normal life, but they forgot that the border is close to Germany, and Germany starts a war. And they didn't think about it. They figured Russia is big and strong, and they got a... That's all. And I made my mind up to go there as far as possible, because it's going to be a war. No, my mother wanted to go all the time because she had their family, and they talked the language, and it was like strange. And elder people can't. She wasn't old. She was just 41, then 42. Now younger people get adjusted. We went to work and we learned Russian, and I could express myself in Russian. And we weren't so happy because we see people suffering, especially with families. Small kids were dying because there was a harsh climate, you know. And the food situation was a little tight. And Russia started the war with Finland. It was restricted with food. And people start grumbling and looking at each other, and they start running away. And I said with my sister, we're not going no place, this is the best place for us to stay. And once my mother got sick, pneumonia, at that time it wasn't penicillin, it was a very, very serious sickness. Now miraculously, she was alive. And after she came out, we decided to go because we don't want to take responsibility. Something happened to her. Then we decided I'll go first. And then we had a few parcels because the way I told you, we went out from town with a few things. If we didn't want to leave it, I went to White Russia back, former Poland, and after a while they sent us, my mother sent me all the parcels.
So whereabouts in White Russia were you?
In White Russia, I came to Bialystok where my uncle was there, and the other uncle was in the city Lomza, not far from Bialystok, and I find out they don't live no more there because it was too close to the border, and display person not allowed to be in the too close to the border. And they moved to a city, to a town, Mir, M-I-R, Mir in Belarusia. It's former Poland. And there I went, and I settled there. I sent the address to my parents, to my mother and sister, and they start sending over little by little the few parcels. And then after, in exactly that time, France was defeated, and I had more doubts about that it's not going to be a war. Now it was too late. I was here and they were there. The only thing I didn't want to suggest them to stay there, because I didn't know if I could go there now, and I hoped they're not going to come. Now once they sent over everything, they came. It was late in 1940, about September. And I believed in there till 1941. And like in Russia, nobody had the idea because the papers would not write nothing. People were all surprised. They didn't say even about Germany, the cruelty of Germany. Officially, they were allies, and they were praising the Germans.
Okay, we'll stop here.
Yeah. With my family, with my uncles, my cousins in the town Mir. Was a big yeshiva before the war, a learning place for religious Jews. Used to come from all over the world, even from America. And I decided to go to next because I got work in there in Shverzhny. It was a big sawmill, but belonged before the war, it belonged to an English company. And the Russian came in, they took it over. And when I went there, the day I went, it was the war broke out. And when I came in there, it was on a Sunday when the war broke out, and on Friday the Germans came in already there. It was we decided to run away. The border, the old Polish-Russian border, was watched by the NKVD, and they wouldn't let people go through there. And I went once, because it wasn't far, it was 18 kilometers from the town, from Shverzhny, to the old border. And I saw the NKVD was staying and didn't let nobody go through. And they say, don't worry, go home, don't make a panic. Don't make a panic. We are sending big armies and they will stop the Germans. And at the same time, the Germans, there was lots of people coming from all over, and the Germans sent airplanes and they were bombing and killing lots of people. I say, what I got to do there? I'll go back home. If an hour here, the Germans are close, I'll be. And then I woke up towards the morning. The Germans were all over. You couldn't, no place to run.
How did you feel when you saw them all over the place?
Very bad, very bad. We still didn't feel they're going to have an organized killing. A person always thinks, even if he's dead, he always thinks he's going to be alive. He always hopes, especially young people, they're not ready for that. And then it came the surprise. It was not for, I think in a month after, was it in July or August, my sister and my mother was going, I was working in a sawmill, they were working in another place. There was, I can't remember the place they were working, and it came in a white Russian, a turned policeman with a few Germans, and they picked up the 10 nicest people there. They picked up my sister and a few people from father and a son from our town. And they shot him. My mother wants to go with them too, because she didn't know what it is. She didn't want to separate from them. And the policeman just pushed her away. And in fact, this policeman was a friend of a Jewish family where a father and son was at work, and they took him away and they shot him. He was a friend. He talked Jewish. He came into the house day and night. This was a big disappointment.
So they took your sister away.
Yeah, my sister and the people, the father and the son, from my hometown, from Poland.
How old was your sister then?
My sister was 17 years. She was born in 1924, and this was in 41.
So what did your mother do when she saw that?
She grieved. She was the only one, when everybody grieved that time. It's not like every day was killings, shootings. Sure, my mother felt bad. No, she didn't have long to worry because it took a month, she was killed too. That time, after this, they sent us to Ghetto. Little Ghetto was just about 300, 400 people in a little town. And they kept all the people there, young people, because mostly people got killed there.
What was the name of the little town?
Sverzna.
That was Sverzna.
Sverzna. There was a little town that I told you, it's close to Stolpci. And there was the only thing, we were there because it was a sawmill, and people had to work in there. Under the Poles, under the Russians, and under the Germans.
So were there only Jews in this ghetto?
Oh, yeah.
And how many do you think were there?
About 300, 400 people. Till we ran away. And then
what was the condition of the ghetto?
Condition was too bad because it's a small town. We had connections with at work. We had a connection with white Russians, and we had connection with prisoners, Russian prisoners, with them because they were allowed to go on the country on Sunday when they didn't work and ask for bread or something, food. The prisoners, and we came in. We had something we could exchange with him. And with the white Russians, like farmers used to come in, or small farmers used to come in to work too. We had a connection. It wasn't so bad. Nobody died from hunger. Nobody was like in the big cities. We were isolated. And we start seeing the Russians running away. Even the good condition they had, they ran away in the bushes. In 1942, in 41, nobody thought about it. And we start organizing to go away too. And there were lots of Jews with families. People who were born there, they were interested not to go no place, because they figure we'll make it one way or the other. One way run away in the bushes, and suffer, and especially with older women and grown-up people and kids. And they said right on the place to us, we're going to start right away a fight. We're going to kill each other in here. And we did have no choice till we make it quiet. And we waited till he came a Jewish partisan to work for us in the sawmill. And then we took him and we went home. We took him with him. He had a gun. He came up to the oldest from the Jews. He put the gun on the table and said, we are going now, and if somebody's going to lift up his mouth, if somebody's going to say a word, he's going to be shot right away. And when he talked, the people were cutting already the wire and were running. And I knew about it because I was a young man, and everybody knew they want the young people to run, and they went around. Now, we kept it a secret from mostly people, where there were families, and they weren't interested to go, and they were starting to go. And there was a panic when they heard that we're going. Everybody wants to run because everybody knew next day they're going to be killed, because the Germans not going to keep a small ghetto for 100 people, 50 people. They're keeping it because they need us to work. And that's what happened. Next day, everybody that was left in the ghetto was shot. Didn't take him to work no more. And even there were Germans and Poles who had worked there, and some of them came to work next day. They were mad than them. They say, "You crazy? Why didn't you run? Why did you come in? You're going to get shot." And our people were so stupid. It was a bad time. It was winter and snow. You know.
So where did you go after the ghetto?
We ran all together in the partisans. Because this partisan, at the team out of the town, we had a few partisans. They came about 4 or 5. And they were sent by a commandeer, officer, was Jewish. His name was Gilchik. And he sent them to bring him us over.
How far did you have to go?
We had to go about to the really destiny where they stayed. They stayed in the slums, not slums, the muskies. How do you say?
Swamps.
Swamps, yeah. In deep Polesche. There was a bush and swamp, that's all it was there. No, we had to go about 50 kilometers there. No, we went, the first phase we had to go 10 kilometers and we came in a safe place. There were partisans, sorry, there were bushes. And then we had to go there. It was relatively very easy because of all bushes. The only place we had to be careful, there was a highway, a military highway going from east to west. If we had to go from north to south, we had to cross it, one place to the other one. And we went through to safety, because if we get on the way some Germans, it would be a problem, you know, it would be shooting. If we didn't have much, there was a few partisans, about 4 or 5, where they were providing us. And they had just a few rifles. And we couldn't afford to go in a fight with the Germans at the time. And we came to the partisans.
Were you walking all the time, or
Yeah,
did you have
yeah.
wagons?
Yeah.
Just walked?
That time we had to walk. But other ways, the partisans had wagons, and they had horses, and normally it was not bad. Once the Germans didn't pressure us to run, we used to like to live in the north, where there was Paris pharmacies, it was more food, and it was dry. Now once the Germans started pushing us, the safety place was to go south to these swamps. At that time, there was just very few highways, and the Germans, if they come with the military strength, they couldn't do nothing to us, because they couldn't go once from the highway, and so much in there get sunk. And we were light. We were just a rifle and shoes, and sometimes not even shoes. They made the farmers used to make some kind of stuff from the wood, like they call it lapchi in there.
Uh-huh. So did you carry anything with you as you went, as you left the ghetto?
And I was running, I grabbed the bread. I had, not very often I had the whole bread, I had the bread. And it was freezing on me. By the time I came in, it was frozen.
So where did you go from there?
But from there, we went more south to the really places, to the swamps, where there was the basis of the partisan. They lived already in underground, you know, and they were covered with wood, and it was warm. They had little bit stoves, like wooden, sheet metal stoves, and wood was enough. And as long as the Germans, we try to do something harm to the Germans, to blow up the trains, or make sabotage to little towns, to the police. Over there, to fight, we couldn't afford it with them. Once they came in with the power, even a regiment or even a division, we had to run. The only thing is to run is just turn around when they going, and they couldn't afford to stay in one place, because they had all over partisans. They came for a few weeks, they did their job, and most of the time they surrounded villages, they killed the villagers, and they claimed in the paper, their papers, they killed partisans. And actually, they didn't get a partisan. Maybe accidentally get a few partisans, because the partisans were all like flies. They were running there and running there. And the only casualties were the villages. I saw myself when I was walking the night, running from the Germans, villages were on fire. Then I find out they shot the people, they surrounded the people, they shot them. And there was plain farmers, Belarusians, not Jews.
Would there have been any gypsies on the way that you encountered?
No, I didn't see no gypsies.
Okay, now what happened?
It happened we stayed in partisans, we got adjusted, but even later there came a machine, a little machine, primitive machine to print a newspaper, a little newspaper, and to let the population know the news, because there was very few radios, there was no newspapers, to let them know what's going on in the war. And then it was in 43, it started getting better for the Russians, and they started printing. And I knew about this job, and they took me to the printing shop, and I was working till the end of the war by that. And I didn't have, actually, it was my favor, because I didn't have to stick out my neck, I didn't have to go freeze in the nights and go on the swamps. And I didn't ask for that. I was just forced to do it, because I find out from a person who lived in our city that I can do the job. They came in and they forced me to do it, and the partisans like in the army, and you're told, because I didn't want to get separated from my people.
So your mother at this stage was
dead, yeah. Oh, this was in 43 already. I left in the end of 42, and 43 I'm telling, and this was, my mother was dead already in 1941.
How did that happen?
She was dead?
Mm.
She was killed in the ghetto, when the young people were going to the sawmill to work, and we didn't expect nothing. And then they surrounded the ghetto, and they killed everybody, except they left a few people from the Judenrat, the oldest of the Jews. They left them. And in fact, one guy told me that they want to leave another man, a young man, was looking nice to them, and he said, "Thank you very much. My wife is going to get killed, and I'm going with them." And then the man, but he told me that he didn't do it. He let his 2 kids and wife go, and he was alive, and then he bothered them all the time even. And once we went from work, and we went with the Germans were watching us, and it was all the Germans, and he went to him and he asked him why he was doing it. He criticized the German, and it was unbelievable, because he should get shot. And the German was a decent man, and he just started to apologize to him. And after I asked him, "Why are you doing it? You asked him for be killed?" And he said, "I don't mind, because I feel guilty what I did. Because I let my kids go to be killed, my wife, and didn't do what the other young men did."
Hmm. Okay, tell me some more about Schwerzner, about you going through the countryside with the partisans.
Oh, the partisans. It took us 1.5 years till the Russians came back and they chased the Germans, and we were free again. Now in the partisans we had different problems. And there was food, like they sent us, the only food we could get is from the farmers. And I'm a softy. When I went to a farmer and start asking him for food, sometimes you had to take a cow. They were poor farmers. He bothered me very much. And some people were there, they got shot after by the partisans themselves, because they were so rude to them. They took everything they wanted, even for their private use, not for the partisans, but for his private use. And in fact, once I saw they called us out, and they said they're going to shoot one guy. And that guy was brought from a village. He was a partisan, and he went once with a friend to a village, and he was drunk. He got drunk, and he couldn't go on the horse. He told the lady to bend down, and he stepped on it to go on the horse. And once our authorities went through there, and the woman come out and stopped the officer, and they told the story. And the officer took it serious, and he came on to find out about everything, investigation. And then they put him to a wall and shot him. And in fact, his friend was with him. He didn't do no harm, but because he let it do it, the friend had to shoot him. And there was lots of things we had to suffer, because lots of times we had to live straight in the bush and no cover, because we were to go from one place to another. We didn't have time to adjust, to build something for ourselves. And people died from that too, because we were young. But I saw people give up too, because we were once on a run, and a family of older people and kids were younger, and they gave up. They didn't want to go no more. We went to them and started talking to them. We didn't have no horses at that time, because we had to abandon everything. And we asked them, why don't they go? And he said, my parents can't go no more, and I'm not going to leave them alone. And they gave up. And young people like us, we just want to leave. Sometimes wasn't easy. And sometimes was okay, because we didn't feel, lots of times we didn't feel like we were in the bushes, because it was lots of partisans together, and music and singing and talking, telling jokes, telling things. We didn't feel sometimes.
And how many partisans were there around you at this time?
We were a group of 300.
Yeah.
In the next village, around the next village was another 300. It could be thousands. In fact, the statistics say that in Belarus was about 300,000 one time. And that was the force by the Germans, because when the Germans came in, lots of the population figured they came to free them from communism. And then they saw the reality, and they started shooting, like I told you, the surrounded villages. Instead they can't catch the partisans, they kill them. And people started to run. You came in lots of villages, they weren't burned even, but the people were away in the bushes. They didn't trust nobody Germans. And the same the Jews, the same even communists. Communists, when he had, communists had to run too, because they came in and they shoot all the communists. Even innocent people, even the weren't even older, they were just young people, they just were in the organization. And the terror was unbelievable. Like they instruct us, partisans, not to fall in, and I knew myself not to fall into Germans. It's better to be dead than fall into Germans. Not to kill ourselves, you have to have something. And we had big rifles, Russian rifles, or infantry. And it's a big rifle. If you take if you want to put it to your mouth with your head and pull with the trigger, this is going to be over your head, and you can't do nothing yourself. And they give you instruction, take off the shoes, if it is tall, to pull it. Then you can reach yourself. And in fact, there was a few times people did it, because they didn't want to fall into the Germans. It's like in the bush, you always got a way out. Very seldom it's so completely surrounded you can't go out. And when we surrounded, and lots of people panicked, they figured there's no way out, and they killed themselves.
What else was, so what did you do after that? You were in that particular part of the country. Where did you go from there?
Or after the White Russian came in, I mean after the Russian came in and they took over White Russia. We came in, our old companies came into a town, Lachovich, south of Baranovich. And we were staying there, and in a few days, they took away everybody to the front lines. There were lots of prisoners, like Russian prisoners, but they worked with the Germans. They surrounded to us, and they figured, and they took all the partisans and all them, They didn't even train them for the army. They sent them away to fight, and lots of them were killed. I was lucky because I was working in the printer shop, and they didn't cancel it yet. And I was staying about 2 months. And in fact, I was glad. I was waiting to send me away. It doesn't matter where, because it was a town. I didn't know the people there, because it was a strange town to me. No, still, I knew there were Jews. You don't see nobody. You go in the center of the city, all where the stores used to be, it's all dead. And I was waiting, and I didn't have to wait long. In 2 months, they mobilized me. They sent me to Baranovich, and I figured I'm going to go to the army. Then they find something that my foot was ill from the mass cake. I had, in the wartime, I had some sickness in the foot, and I still got a mark on it. Then they sent me to Russia to work. And they put me on a train, and I was going 2 weeks with the train, and I crossed the Urals, the border with Russia, Europe and Asia, and I came to a city, Perikopevsk, in a basin of coal, the biggest basin of coal in Russia. It was very important in the wartime. And I worked in there till after the war ended.
So how many years was that you worked there?
I went in October 1944,
Yeah.
and they let me go in 46, in May 1946. It's about close to 2 years. And I wasn't a prisoner, I was a free man. No, still I worked because everybody had to work or go into the army or to work in the wartime. And when the war finished, we still wasn't ready. The trains weren't organized yet. And lots of people were out of their places. And when you come to a station, you could wait weeks and weeks to go somewhere. And then in 46, in April, we started organizing a train special for people, for the Polish people and Jewish people, where they were citizens of Poland. We had to belong to our organization, and all the citizens of Poland would want to go. They had a clear title, they didn't go to jail or they did nothing on themselves. And we were sitting there on the train again about 2 weeks till we came to Poland. And in Poland, we didn't have nobody. I didn't even go to my hometown because they said, first thing I knew I haven't got but nobody. You know, some people went for property. They figured they got property, they can sell it, and they can make money. And they got killed. Some of them got killed. When a Jewish man came in a little town, and Paul saw him, and he lived in his property. He figured he came for his property, and they killed him.
And what year was this?
It was 1946, right after the war. The Russians went through, they went to Germany, they put in a Polish communist government. The people most were against the Polish government. And they, always scapegoat the Jews. The Jews are communists, and the other thing was financial. I figured the Jews came in for money. I didn't have nothing, and I didn't go to my hometown. In fact, I know in this city, a guy told his cousin, don't go, and he didn't go, and the cousin went and got killed.
So what did you do from day to day at this stage?
In Poland, when we came in, the plan of the Polish government was to send all the people on the territory where the Poles took over in Germany, as far as possible to the west. And we were going there. Now we stopped in a place, Katowice, a big city, center of coal too. And we stopped in there, and then there was Jewish youth in there from a kibbutz. They say, where are you going? They recognized us, and they told them from where you come, we were going. They said, why did you go? Come in here. We got a place, we got a kibbutz, we got organized already. We give you food, we give you shelter. What else we expected? And we went there, and we lived in the kibbutz for 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, the Bricha sent it over to the border to Czechoslovakia.
Okay, we'll stop here.
Pardon?
Have to stop.
Oh, okay.
Won't change the tape. The Hakshara.
Yeah. No, I was later in Germany. It was a kibbutz,
Sorry.
and the Bricha give it an order that we can go, take the train and go to a border town on the Czechoslovak-Polish border, which was closed. The only way to go through was in the night with smugglers. It was everything organized, and we waited till the night. And the night came in, the smuggler, Polish gentleman, and took all the group to mountains, bushes, up and down. No, we okay. Well, he was ahead of us, and every time he looked after us, and he said, "Oh, it's a pleasure to go with you. I go with families. It's a terrible. They're suffering and I'm suffering. Yeah, any time I'm looking in the back, you're behind me." Sure, because young people.
Was he a Polish Jew?
No, the guy was a Polish farmer. He lived in the border, and these people, they knew how to take us all over. And I think it was about the Czechoslovakian soldiers were good too, because they suffered the Germans too, and they were bad up maybe. They let us through in the night. In the same night, a group of much west from former Germany, they went southward to Czechoslovakia, but in a different place. And my wife was there. The group, she wasn't my wife yet. No, we came together to Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia now. We came together and we stopped there and we meet each other there. And from there we waited a few weeks. We started wandering farther. We went to Austria. And from Austria we went to Germany. And till...
Is this by train you were going?
Sometime in Germany already we went by train.
Yeah.
No, the borders, we had to go illegally. In some places, actually it was by the borders most of the time. It wasn't plain Russian. No, it was mixed up. Czechoslovakian borders with Russians, Austrian border with Russian, because Austria at that time, part of Austria was under Russia. There were 4 zones: French, English, and American and Russian. We went through the Russians, and the Russians, we had to tell them a story that we are Greek Jews, because otherwise they can stop us. And it was a fact. We went on the train, and the Russians started talking to us, and one guy just said, I can't understand, and he talked to Hebrew, looked like a Greek, to the Russian. And then the Russian said, "Don't tell me, you look, I see your boots." They are Russian boots. No, he was making a joke, he didn't care. Anyway, it was a joke. He said, "You tell me you're a Greek, you're not a Greek, you come from Russia." You got the Russian boots. And from there we were wandering, we saw good places. We were in Salzburg, it's in the Tyrols, in the big mountains. We had a good time. And we went to Munich, and we ended up in a town close to a village close to Hof, by the Czech border. The place was called Berchtesgadenwald. And there, all our group.
Now, were you still traveling with the people that you set off from the very beginning with?
Yeah, that's all the group.
So
yeah.
how many people do you think were in that
There were
group?
about 50 people.
All about
you see
your
the
age?
picture, yeah. And
So you arrived in Hof?
we came in. Actually, we had a good time, because they, except we were alone and we were still mourning the dead, especially more than before, because before we were envying the dead people because they got killed, and they went through that, and we have to go through it. When we were alive after the war, we start feeling sorry, because everybody feels sorry for his family. in the start, we didn't have time to be sorry. We were busy with us, keeping alive, or no, we came to Berensonwald, and there was a Nazi there, and the Americans confiscated his farm. There was agreement with our organization to let us in, to let in our group. We were getting trained for farmers. In effect, we weren't living on the farm because it was too small for so many people to get fed up with the farm. The UNRWA used to help us, and even the Joint used to send us.
The Joint Distribution
Yeah.
Committee.
And we stayed there. And then people started getting a laugh, and young people. Lots of people said they'll never marry till they come in a place and they'll know they get married. No, you forget about that and start getting married. And there was a big celebration where we got 7 couples that went to Hof, to the city where a rabbi is, in a camp, and we had a wedding, and then we came to the village, and we celebrated really like a big wedding, and they came in from all the districts, the German officials and the American officials from UNRWA, from the government, from the governor, military, and they said they never saw this kind of a wedding they saw in here, because it wasn't a modern, like they say over there, but young people singing Hebrew and Russian songs. It could be nicer than that.
So you started off with 300 people in the ghetto, and
Yeah.
there are only 50
No,
left.
these people got nothing to do with the ghetto, because when I came from Russia, I didn't have no contact with these people, because everybody went his own way.
I see.
Because mostly went to the army, I went to Russia, I came with a group of people to Poland, and these people in Poland, in the kibbutz, we kept together. But other people, we got lost with each other. And, but I want to say,
How was the food situation and the clothes situation? Was there any time that you felt that there was nowhere to go? You just kept going on.
yeah, we were waiting to go to Israel. Mostly people, like our young people. The other people were different. Like we said, we came in on the train, and we were this kind of group, and we were ready to go to Israel to fight and work. And when we saw people already from the camps were free, and they're living in better conditions, they were smiling the way we talked like patriots. No, time changed when I got in touch with my father, and my wife here, they got a father, and he's alive, and he's ready to take us over, and I wasn't willing. I was willing to go to Jordan to Israel, because I had enough living with strange people, and so the wartime, you can't rely on nobody. You just know yourself we're a Jew, especially when we went from border to border, and there was always Jewish brecha were waiting for us in Czechoslovakia, in Germany, and we asked them, what party you belong to? Belong to righties and lefties. I bent in my mind, it doesn't matter what kind of party you are, you're still a Jew. It is the same situation, if he wants it or not, and you have to help each other. The other people, sure, you have to have 1 in 1,000 to be willing to do it. And it wasn't easy too, because some people, gentle people, had to sacrifice their life, take a chance to hide people or work with people. We got married, and I got in touch with my father.
Your father at this stage was in
Canada, yeah. And I was born a child, and I was still born when I go to Israel. It was the Exodus. I applied, and they said, "We're not going to take with families, they're taking single people." And it was in 47, before the Israel, and say, it was proclaimed like a country. We couldn't go free. We had to go with the ships, and then you could come in, and the English stopped you. They didn't want to take no kids. And then my wife came in, and she said once, "I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going from one boy to the other one." And she's not materialistic, and in today's day, she can understand how she thought about it, because I would never think about it. And she does not understand how she should say it too. When I remind you of this, and then was decided to wait and see what's going to happen.
So what did your father, when you got in touch with your father, what did he say?
My father was willing to take us, yeah. And I hesitated, because I didn't even know him personally, you know, and I was 28 years already, in 49. When I came in and met him, I was 28 years. No, it's a family, it's a difference. A single man is more free, he can do even foolish things. Now with a family, you got a responsibility, it's a different thing. And we decided to come in here. We meet other people. Everybody came from a different country, from different city, from different history and different stories, you know. Some of them came in, they were in Russia all the time. And they can still understand. They suffered too in Russia, and they suffered even with their families. They left families, and the families got killed too. But still, it's different, much difference. They still can't understand what we understand, live over. So it's not. I'm not talking about suffering, but the way of living, the way of thinking, it changed altogether.
So how long did it take you to make up your mind to leave and come to Canada?
There was. I had to wait till my father could do it. Because actually, my father wasn't even a citizen in Canada. When he was in Mexico, and he went, like I told you once already, he got in an argument with his brother, left the business, and he started traveling from one place to the other one. And he landed up in Canada before the war, and he didn't have time even to take us over. Maybe his intention was to take us over, because he didn't have no family. When I came in here, I was a little bitter of my father. I thought he's got a family, he didn't care about us. No, he lived like a single man all his life, till the end of his life. I changed all the opinion. We tried to live together, because he had a few dollars by the house, because that time he came to Canada, you couldn't get a place with kids, especially in Edmonton, because it was a booming city, certainly, and they started fast, and didn't have no apartments, no high-rises, and no blocks even, just houses. You had to go, and when you came to a house, you want to rent, and they say, "Have you got kids?" "Yes." "No." I started telling them, what should I do with my kids? Throw them in the river? And then my father wasn't a rich man. He had a few dollars just to buy a house, a down payment on a house. And they had to buy a house. Let us see him. And we lived together. It wasn't easy, because my father wasn't used to live with nobody. He was a single man, and we were young people. Well, we lived about 10, 15, 12 years together. He helped us a lot, because first thing, it didn't cost us rent. We bought a house, and we had to pay the mortgage, and we got something to rent. It was easy for us to live this. Otherwise, we had to go to a committee, you know, because if somebody came without parents, without help, you had to get from the committee some help. You know, we didn't have to do that. And that we believed and we struggled. And you know, you came in a country which it's strange to you, and the language is strange. It's very difficult. And one day you can't understand each other, people. No, little by little, and it's Oh, well, we started raising kids and we were busy and work and this and this. The time flew.
How did you learn English?
Learned English. I went to an evening school and I worked. And I came home, it was already two kids right from the start. And it was hard. We had to help my wife to clean up and this here because she was with two small kids, no family, no help, and she was sick sometimes. I went to until I find out I can go in a store and ask for something. I say I have enough. And the rest I had to learn from the paper. And after I got a TV in 1956, I got a TV. And from talking at work and with people, I had to learn this way. And I liked reading, if I had time to read. And I was school. My wife went a year in school. Next year, she went to school.
Here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what did you take up as a trade?
I came in and tried to work for a printing shop too. Now I didn't have the language, and then they put me to work, and they kept me like a starter, like a lawyer boy. And they started giving me $20 a week. And I realized I can't make $20 a week, and I need my father's help. And he spent most of the money on the down payment. I knew newcomers that were working in wholesales, like in a grocery wholesale. He made $30 and then $40. I say, I can't do it. I have to go there. And I started working in a grocery wholesale. The grocery wholesale is not existing no more because there's lots of small stores that are not existing, and there's no reason for a wholesale to be. And I worked lots of years, and maybe 17 years. And my wife started working, which I didn't like it, and she's admitting now there was a big mistake because kids need a woman at home, mother at home. They came from school. My wife wasn't at home always. It didn't come. It wasn't easy.
So you must have missed all your family from the old country.
If I missed them?
Yes, when you came.
Yeah.
There was no
No.
support system beyond your father.
No.
All in all, how many relatives do you know of who were actually killed in the Holocaust?
Cousins and uncles and aunties, easy 35.
35?
35, yeah.
And you knew them well? You knew all of them well?
The relatives, the cousins, I knew them well, yeah.
They all lived in the same city?
The same city, yeah.
So what do you think, what would be your message if you had something to say to your children and grandchildren, or just to people in general, about what you suffered during the war and how you had to run from place to place? Have you got a message for us?
A message, I'll tell you through, I'm pessimistic.
You're pessimistic?
Pessimistic because people get influenced very bad when they got hardships, and they're always letting out in the minorities. And the near situation is better because there's lots of minorities, and we suffered in Poland. We suffered already before the war because we didn't have no rights. We were like I think about Poland like a stepmother to me. Because you had to be a businessman, or you were poor. And there can be, like lots of Poles, when they find me, they ask me, and they thought that in Poland was not a poor Jew. And he asked me if it's true. And I said, and I tell them, how can it be not a poor Jew when everybody can be a wholesale man, and everybody can be a manufacturer, and imagine in here in town, if everybody had to be a manufacturer, and you have to be a worker. And he can't go to school, he can't get a government job, he can't go to military, he can't go there. Everything is closed for him. How can it be? This was the legend in Poland. All the Jews were rich. Now there were 80% so poor, terrible. And that's what influenced me from the first day. From the first day I opened my eyes when I started understanding. There's not much hope for people, because people are always in conflict. Even they live in their own territories, they always want to take over the other people. The other people want to free themselves. And if they're free, they want to run over the other people. In fact, Poland was under Germany, under Austria, under Russia, till the First World War. And after they come and the independence of war, they were going in demonstration. They say they want colonies in Africa, because England and France and Spain and Portugal, that's colonies. The US, that was the world, and that's where I was raised. That's where I looked, especially for Jews who were pushed around all the time, especially even after the war, when England had about all the world yet. They had to give it up after, but still had so many colonies, and the few Jews so pushed around and killed and left orphans and left this, and they want to come to poor Israel, where it's a small country, a poor country, and even the socialist Bevin said there's no room, because England's interest is to have the Arabs on their side. There's no mercy, it's just politics. And that's the message I can give. And it's very bad to be the minority.
But if you are in the minority...
It's just the same like I'm in my house. I can do anything I want. I can get crazy sometimes. I can get not reasonable. And nobody's going to tell me to get from my house. If I'm a guest in somebody's place, I have to be so quiet and deal intelligently. Once I made one mistake, they tell me to go. I'm not.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mishna. And I think then we'll look at some photos, and then we'll bring in your son and grandchild.
Oh, they're ready?
Okay, go ahead.
This picture was my father and my mother was taking in Ostrov Mazowiecki before they got married. This could be in 1920 or 1919.
Okay.
This is my uncle, my father's younger brother, and he got married in 1924, and in Ostrov Mazowiecki, and I can't remember, I was too young to remember that.
What are their names?
The name's Shaya, and I can't remember their wife's name. That's 58 years. Okay. That's my picture, Max Mishna. I was born in Ostrov Mazowiecki. It looks like I was that time just around a year, a little over. And this card was sent by my mother to my father in 1921, in 1922.
To Mexico?
Not to Israel, to Palestine. That's my mother. She was born in Ostrov Mazowiecki in 1898. And next to her is my sister. She was born in Ostrov Mazowiecki in 1924. And in front of my mother is Max Mishna, was born in 1921.
Where was this photo taken?
In Ostrov Mazowiecki.
And what year was it?
That's about 3 years, in 1924 must be. Yeah.
1924. Okay.
1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 1924. 19 I'm 3 years here more, or more. Isn't 24? This is a picture from my kindergarten. I presume it was made in 1924 in Ostov-Mazowieck.
Are you in this picture?
Yeah, I'm on the bottom row, on the second from the right.
Looks very prosperous, you should say.
3 years, I would say.
3, 4. Much older is she than you?
Okay.
Oh, she's. Okay, that's my aunt, Hannah Drevno, Aloni now. And this must be taken in 1924. And the next, I'm Max Mishna, born 1921.
Where were these taken?
In Ostov-Mazowieck, in 1924, I presume.
Can I see where you are?
Yeah. And
Who is it?
yeah, it is. And
Who's that?
can I say?
Yeah.
That's a group of people after the war. We come from Russia to Poland to Germany. They were settled for a while in a village, Bernstein am Wald, in Germany. It's near Hof, near the Czechoslovakian border. And we were on a farm training for farm workers. And this was a property taken, confiscated from a Nazi. And we were there, I was there for half a year.
And where are you? The back row?
I think so. Oh yeah, this is the one.
Center there?
Yes, above the cross, the marker.
You won't see the cross over here.
No, right
Top
there.
center.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Top center.
This is my wife's friend. She lived over the wall with here together.
What do you say? What year?
She lived the war.
No, what year is that?
This was made in 1946.
Okay, who's this?
This is Max Mishna, with my wife Anne Mishna. The picture was made before our wedding in 1946 in the city Hof. I'm Max Mishna, and this is our celebration of our 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary. And beside me is Anne Mishna, my wife. On the right is my older son, Michael Mishna, born in 1947 in Germany, in Winsheim. Next is my daughter, Faye Mishna. She was born in Canada, in Edmonton, in 1951. The next to her is Stan Mishna. He was born in 1949 when I came to Canada the next month. And next to him is my grandson, the son of my older son, Brooke Mishna. He was born in 1977. And next is my granddaughter, Max Mishna. She was born in 1975. And next is my granddaughter, Kristen Peeling. She was born 14 years ago. What is it? In 84. 84, yeah.
Where was this taken?
The picture? That's my wife, Hannah Mishna, a wife of 51 years. And in the back is my son, Stan Mishna. And the next to him is my granddaughter, Marnie Mishna. What else?
Okay, just talk about that.
Yes, yeah, my parents came from Poland after the war, and I appreciated what they went through. You know, when I was younger, I probably didn't realize exactly what they had gone through because they didn't say that much to me. But later on, probably in the last 10 years, they've said a few things to me, and I've appreciated what they've gone through, that they have gone through a lot. Makes me respect them a lot. And appreciate what I have in this country. I've had the opportunity to have some kind of education, and you know, I've also had the opportunity to have my freedom. And I believe my parents didn't have that when they were very young. So.
When I first...
Okay, go ahead.
When my grandparents first told me their story, I was quite surprised. I couldn't imagine someone so few generations away from me could have suffered so much, and I have such a good life here. And I think hearing their stories really made me appreciate all that I have and all that I can do. And it's very startling, and I'm just glad I know. And in some ways, I'm also glad that I have such fighters that are part of me, that they worked so hard and they went through so much, and that somehow that's a part of me as well. So.